into it because I know that we have a limited time this evening and we started late to make it worse. So let's dive in. Sure. Tell us, introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Charlene and I founded Father to the Fatherless. So yeah, I'm a single mum and a Christian. And I just thought there is, well, I can give you the story too, actually. So it kind of happened in a prayer session. It was more me kind of crying out to God and being like, God, this is difficult. Help me, Lord. And I really remember him distinctively saying, you just need to share your story with other people. It would be fine. It would be great. And I was like, okay, well, that's the last thing I want to do. I'm not into social media. I don't want to be telling people my story about being a single parent. And he was like, look, don't worry. And he distinctively guided me to Psalms 68:5, which was like saying he's a father to the fatherless, he's a defender of widows, and he will be there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like literally my heart just completely just wept. I was like, wow, it's, he says really clearly he is a father to the fatherless, he is there for orphans, for the widows. And it just gave me such a sense of peace. But I looked in my journal, that was 2 years ago. So I was, kind of doing my own thing, not being obedient. And it really came back to me like, hello.
Don't forget.
Yeah. So this year I was like, right, step into obedience, let's do it. And that's how Fatherless was. Essentially, it was birthed to support single parents, I'd probably focus more on a single mother perspective, but kind of help them and encourage them, because that's what's got me through. My faith, my relationship with God is what's really helped me to raise my son, to kind of help me, myself as a mother, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. It's just, without God, where would I be, essentially?
Yeah. So how long has this take? Tell us like when it started then. So how long has the platform been up and running?
I think I only started it, let's see, I started with Instagram first, and I probably January or February, so it hasn't been that long.
It's new.
And then so I'm a full-time secondary teacher, so it's kind of like trying to juggle being a mother, working, and then I think lockdown, it was like, okay, what you gonna do now?
Yeah.
You've got the time, let's do it. So so I set up my website, wrote a few blogs, shared a couple of posts online, got good engagement, and then I've always loved radio and podcasts. So in September I launched my own podcast, and now I've had a few episodes out. So that's been received really well. So that's
good. So we're going to ask them, since you said that at the start you were like, Lord, I don't want to share my story, but you are sharing your story, then please do tell us your story.
Yeah. Okay. So where do I begin? So essentially I was in a long distance relationship. We know each other for a while, good friend of the family. Yes, and I'm open and honest about this. I was baptized, I was in church, and I fell pregnant with my son, and we decided that we're going to have the child. And then there were a few visa issues, and I made a decision that I'm going to stay in this country because I've got more of a support system, and the qualities that I'd seen in him, I see he was great with children, all of those things I'd seen, but it was like during the pregnancy he just wasn't stepping up to responsibility, and it was really tough because number one, it was unplanned, and you have a vision for how you want to have a pregnancy, have a vision how you want to have your life, and it was like it just wasn't happening. I just become a qualified teacher, I just started my job, and it was like, how am I going to juggle this being a mum? And when the visas didn't come through, it was like, wow, I'm actually going to have to do it without him.
Wow.
But actually he wasn't being proactive. And I remember having this moment. It was a bit like, you see those scientists and the light bulb goes off. I remember thinking, okay, you're doing this by yourself, right?
How far gone were you into the pregnancy?
I would say it must have been around 6 months when I really was like, this is going to
Yes.
be, this is going to
And
be.
the hormones are raging
Oh my
already.
gosh, I tell
Yeah.
you what, my hormones were ridiculous. I wouldn't
Yeah.
sound someone who suffers from PMS or anything, but when I was pregnant, I was literally like a raging.
Yeah, it's not
hormone
easy.
was like, like I literally was like that. I didn't know what to do with myself. I never felt these emotions, these hormones, tiredness, working, frustration. I had the most amazing family and friends who stepped
Brilliant.
in when
Brilliant.
it wasn't necessarily their role to step in, but they did. They
Of
surrounded
course.
me. They came to appointments. They supported. They were amazing.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And so kind of what I missed in that sense. Yeah, so again, I realized it just wasn't stepping up to responsibility, and I had to make a decision, and I can only raise one child. I can't, like, you know, I'm not seeing what I saw in you before, what I loved about you, your qualities, and this is a really time to step up to it, and you didn't. And had to make those decisions, and then as time progressed and my son was born, and again, just wasn't stepping up to the responsibility of what I thought someone who would be a father would be. And it was disappointing. It was so disappointing, but kept on going. And again, like I said, I have the most amazing family and friends. So moved back in with my parents, and it was, you know, that's what helped through that time period. Yeah,
that's good. So you had the backup, but this setup is really to support those, I guess, to be the backup for those that don't have a backup,
because not everyone has that backup. There are people that have moved to different countries, different areas, and it's interesting when you speak to people, you realize not everyone has that support network. And it's simple things like, before lockdown, I started going to the gym for the first time for a very long time, because when you're a single parent, you can't just go and do activities. Oh, go and look after yourself. How? I haven't got someone to leave a child with.
Have self-care, they say.
Yeah. And you can't. It's really hard to get that kind of alone time. And what I was finding is that working full time, then coming home, cooking, spending time with my son, doing homework, and you really want to, just because you're a lone parent, you want to be the best. You want to give 100%. And I don't know if other single parents can relate with this, but I had to learn that I can't compensate for what isn't there, and that's when God had to step in and be a father to my, do the best job I could do. But like I said, you would be, you know, work and come home, and then when you come home, your free time, you're like, and then you wake up and do it all over again.
I can imagine. I mean,
same for,
I have 3 children. I have a very active, very involved husband, but I have days where I sit at the window and I'm like, when is he coming home? And like, you know, like, and then, you know, sometimes the texts, you know, once upon a time it was like, I miss you, I love you. Now it's like ETA.
Well, it sounds about right, isn't it? And
so I definitely I know my privilege. I know that that's a privilege to be able to have that handover when I need to hand over. And you know, my experience of fathers, you know, of being fatherless is not as a wife, but it's as a daughter. So I can come from that other aspect, the other view, where I'm the daughter of a broken relationship, of a absent father, and just, you know, my experience, and then of course my experience of that, then coming into a marriage, it's very different. I mean, I don't know if you ever what support there is for the children, even if it's the children who are adults like myself. We have a lot of unpacking and a lot of issues.
Did you think then in your marriage, did you, I don't even know how to phrase it, did you bring in like kind of single child of a single parent issues into your relationship? Do you think, is that the sense? Or did you were you single mum doing everything to yourself?
The answer is
you didn't really didn't let your husband in to do things, and then it was like, hey, I'm here. I can do it.
No, do you know what it is that I've come from, so I've come from a household where then my mum was very like, right, something needs doing, we just do it. So I was the DIY, you know, we could do DIY, like, because who was going to do it? And little things like, you know, the fuse goes, I could unscrew a plug. If the wires were a little bit short, I would cut it, I would shred the cable, you know, screw it all in, twist it around the screws, put the fuse in, put it all back together. And so I came into my marriage able. I came into my marriage capable, but I definitely came into the marriage with baggage.
Yeah.
With as the child of a, I know. What do you tell me this? I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to put a pin in it. What do you think of the term broken home?
Oh, it's, you see, funny you're saying about your childhood. My childhood was very interesting when my parents were together and they separated when I was at primary school and got back together when I was a teenager. So I've experienced parents together, being a single parent, and then getting back together. So I've experienced the spectrum of it, both being a child, a single parent, and then getting back together.
Wow.
So I've kind of experienced both sections of that.
That's a wave.
Homes, yeah. I think broken homes it's a really harsh term because you can have people who are together and they're not connecting, they're not together, they're together for the children, but the children know that there's no love, there's no respect. And which is more damaging? Is it having two unhealthy parents or one healthy parent? So some homes have broken down, but if you have one healthy parent, then I don't think you should call it a broken home.
Good. I like the answer. I like that. I think that's very good. So how does a parent just doing it on their own stay healthy? Because like I say, sometimes I'm at the window, just like I'm on the phone. I'm like, come home, Bridget, because I'm going a little bit crazy here. You know, it's too much, and it's only been in a matter of hours, let alone days or weeks. So how does a lone or single parent maintain that health?
For me, I found my kind of me time in the morning, because in the evening I'm tired. So I'm not very good at Bible study in the evening or praying in the evening because I'm going to fall asleep. I need to be honest. I can't sit there and
that's the truth.
I'm honest about what works for me. Different people have different times at work. So I kind of factor in the morning time when my home is quiet, my son's asleep, and I can wake up in the morning, set my alarm, pray, meditate on the word of God, read my devotion. That's my time.
Yeah.
And I've realized that prepares me for the day. And then even when I, get my son up, he gets ready for school, then I get in the car, he goes on the school bus. And then when I'm in the car now, I've got my worship music on, or I'm listening to something. So I try and have that headspace of my time. If it's an evening, then it might just be a bath with a nice candle, because you know, like I said, you don't always have the scope to go out and do something. So you really carve out alone time in your home.
Yeah.
And look after yourself. You need to have someone you can talk to.
Yeah.
I've got amazing friends. If I'm feeling down, I can be honest. If I'm frustrated, I can be honest. And they will be like, "You're doing too much," and I would still do it. And they'll be like, "What are you doing? They'll be like, you're a single parent. You can't do this, this, and this, and this. You need time." And that's taken me a while. And I think lockdown helped me. Lockdown helped me to really stop. I was forced to stop.
Yeah.
And stop doing, because when you're just doing, I was so used to just going to work, going to church, doing that. I knew I was tired, but I was on the treadmill, so I was used to it. And then when I stopped, it was like, oh, is that what I was doing? And that gave me time. So I'm hoping that people manage to get time in lockdown, spending more time with their child, their family, their partners. It was, for me, it was really lovely seeing my married friends who because they'd worked on things before lockdown, they could
Yeah.
really enjoy lockdown.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was so lovely to see so many of my friends' marriage blossom. Like all this talk about marriages breaking down, frustration. I saw so many of my friends' marriages just grow and blossom in that time because they stopped and spent time together.
Absolutely.
And that made me happy, seeing my friends happy,
yeah. Oh,
seeing what they do, because they're really great. Like, you know, they've been so supportive. And I know that when God brings someone in my life, they're going to be around. I watch and observe. You know, it's real life. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not great.
Yeah.
But it's great to have them. And they're really supportive as well. You know, they will talk to my son. They're great as well. So
that's fabulous.
So
yeah. Is the goal always like to find somebody? Because especially in the church context, there could always be this kind of, so are you putting yourself out there? So have you met somebody? So when are you going to find a dad for?
It's funny you say that, because I kind of, again, so I was like, okay, right. Firstly, before my son, I would go out and date. Like, I would just date for date's sake. To me, it was going to meet someone, go for a meal, talk, get to know someone. I mean, what's wrong with getting to know someone? That's a given. So I quite like the way the Americans do it, and, you know, going out, that was great. After my son, I think, and after that relationship ended, I think I kind of went into myself and was a bit like, I'm going to focus on my son. I'm not interested in any guy. I'm going to be the best mum ever. So for a lot of the time, it wasn't even, if you said to me, oh, when are you going to get married? I wasn't even interested. Like, my son's my priority. So it wasn't even that case. Dated a few people, great. Didn't develop into marriage. And then this year I was like, right, I'm going to get myself out there. I'm going to go on some dating sites, which I'm actually awful at. I'm like a bit old school. I just want to talk to people face to face and get to know you that way. And it's funny because during lockdown, I was talking to someone and I realised that I probably wasn't that great with communication, because I was so excited about Father the Fatherless, and I was so excited about doing other things, that actually my priority was having all this free time to read a book and enjoy myself. That I thought, oh, Charlene, you better start dating again. But I didn't want to. I was enjoying my time, spending time in the Word.
That's brilliant.
I was enjoying reading a book again and building Father to the Fatherless. So, and then after that, I've just kind of been working on myself. Which I know sounds so cliche, but I have. And so I'm at this point now where I'm like, if I meet someone, great. But if I'm not sat there counting down and waiting. The prayer's gone up to God, Lord God, you being my husband. And now I'm living, I was saying to my friend the other day, I'm going to visit the place I want to visit. I'm going to travel to the country I want to. I'm going to try and live my life to the fullest as a single person. And when he finds me, then that is it.
I'm ready.
You know, I've got my father, I've got brothers, and my son is fortunate to have males around him.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
And you know what, to be honest, he's 12, I'm definitely seeing why, you know, we have our roles. Younger age, like the mum's nurturing the son. I can definitely see this is the age now where you really do need that input from a man. So I'm like, family members, friends, my friends, like seriously, have some quality time with him. But I don't want to rush into anything and make a rash decision about finding a father for my son. It has to be right. It has to be right. So,
of course.
Yeah.
So you talk about your, you know, spending time in the bath, spending time in prayer. So would you say then that being a single mother has impacted your spiritual journey for the better?
Yes. And it's funny because I was having a discussion about this before with a guest for a podcast. And she said actually being a single parent brought her closer to God. And it does, because when you have those dark nights and you're lonely and you've got no one, the only person you can call on is God. And it brings you so much closer. And I think in a really weird way, this period of single parenthood has brought me closer to God, because I have to rely on him. I have to seek him. And, you know, you might become reliant on somebody else. I haven't got that other person to be reliant on. I haven't got that other person to come home and moan about my day at work or just share that time. So I have to go to God. And that definitely has, I think, this period of my life has brought me closer to God. It's made me more focused on him. and more that I need him.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
because I may have relied on another person and maybe not him. And when that other person isn't there, you've got to rely. He's not going to
you're
let
on your
you down.
knees. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a blessing. That's amazing. Just looking at having a son and the and the sort of negative connotations there are with being a single mother. There's so much. So many. I remember I've got friends who I remember rocking up to the hospital and then just putting a ring on just to give the impression that they were married. But dad just happened not to be here at the moment. Or at the other end, were getting divorced and then didn't want to take the ring off, even though the relationship was over, was just hanging on to it so that when they were out in public, people didn't make that, sort of a negative association or have any kind of negative judgment on them. So have you experienced that and sort of that negativity? And what advice would you give for single parents?
Yeah, I can
who
think
are
of
experiencing it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm sure I have at some point done that. Put a ring on to make it feel like no one will judge you. But now I don't. If you ask me, I am Miss, and that's what I am. But actually, as you said, it's like I remember a moment. So when my son was in primary school, there was a child who was annoying him, and I think he was autistic. And I say this because my son was actually mentoring a younger child in the younger years who had special needs. And I think my son has said to the mum, or said to the child, he's annoying, and he was just annoying my son, and my son said, you're annoying. And I remember the mum, she said to me, your son's not very nice to my son. I said, okay. And she went, does he not have a male figure at home? And I should have said, did I blame you for your son being autistic? But I thought, let's rein it in. I haven't put judgments on you for your son being autistic. I haven't put the blame on you. So to assume that was your first go-to, he's not being nice to my son because he doesn't have a dad. And I thought, you just went 2 + 2 and got 67. Like, and
you went straight to it.
If you just said to me, your son, I would have had a word with my son. But it's the fact you just went straight to that. I was so frustrated that day, but I didn't take it back. I was like, I'm going to leave it. And to be honest, sometimes I get the reverse. I think people are quite surprised when the dad doesn't appear. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means at all. But
that sounds like a compliment, like, as though they presume he's well adjusted and happy and healthy, and then they presume then that they make the correct assumption that he has a happy and healthy home life. Yeah, which he does.
And then there has been times when he's had moments at school, and I think when we moved to our new area, and I think when you're in London, it's so fast moving, so fast paced, different and when we moved out, you could see that it was very much the parent picking up their child from school, or certain parents could come to events. And I think at that point, he was like, such and such is dad. And what was quite interesting, he wasn't the only child from a single parent home. It was just that because his dad lives abroad, he couldn't be there as often. And I think that's what frustrated him at events. And that's when he felt it the most. But no, when I've had people before, like I said, that parent, but on the whole, it's been positive. And maybe because at first I was having a discussion with another teacher, I haven't told people at work it comes out, and this could be, again, looking in within myself. There might be a part of me that didn't want to tell people at work in case they made an assumption about me. So I would be at work, I'm capable, I'm going to work to that hour, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then it kind of dawned on me, well, if you can't do that hour because you haven't got childcare, you can tell them. But I think I was very much aware. I didn't want them to think of me as the single parent mother. And for them to judge me professionally. But actually, I've kind of a bit more relaxed about that, and it's
Yeah.
actually fine. You don't have to put a front up, because
Yeah.
you know, other parents wouldn't think twice if they said, "Oh, my husband's out of the country, I can't do that." So you know, why not?
Well,
And I
my
think
husband's busy. Sometimes,
exactly,
sometimes they're just busy.
they
And
really
you
are. They
none of
really
your
are.
business.
And I
I don't
think
have childcare. It's none of your business why. Doesn't
exactly,
matter why. I don't
exactly.
have childcare, and I need a little, you know, I
Yeah.
need to go home.
And I think sometimes, I don't know if any other single parent feels this, but sometimes because you know your status as a single parent, you sometimes want to overcompensate or seem like I've got it together.
Of
And that can
course.
sometimes be a detriment for yourself, because maybe you haven't, and maybe you're struggling, you haven't got childcare, and then you don't tell anyone, and you do this, and it can be quite difficult. So
Yeah.
as the process has got on, I've gotten better at saying, actually, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't. But I did
yeah.
find that hard, because I had this assumption that once I tell them I'm a single parent and I haven't got childcare, they're gonna have this assumption about me. And I had to, yeah.
So there's that additional assumption then that comes, that the additional negative connotation that, and I don't know if it's just Black women that it's, because you know this is Black Future Month, so I want to address that, the association that, you know, as Black women, we are stopping our the dads from being involved. We're these strong, independent Black women that are just like, I can do it by myself. When the men want to be involved, they're just like, well, if you're not going to give me £500, I don't want your £100. We're all kind of like, you know, this kind of, if you're not going to see him every weekend, then don't be coming once a month and trying to see him. And actually, I don't know, you tell us, is
so
this
me,
stereotype, how accurate is it, this negative stereotype of Black mothers, single mothers?
Oh, and I think I think that's why at work I never said it, because in this professional setting where you might be one of the few Black women, then to tell them professionally you're a single parent feels like you're living up to one of the stereotypes of the single Black mother. So I think I would refrain from telling them, because I didn't want to fulfill a stereotype. But I've also learned that being in the workplace, white women will say when they can't handle things and when they're delicate or when they're anxious. And I said to my friend, I'm going to start using that, because we are strong, we are powerful, we are there's just something in us, you know, that we're built that way. But doesn't mean that we're not sensitive, doesn't mean we don't need help, doesn't mean we don't need that support.
And we're not and we're delicate.
We are delicate.
With strength, you know, with strength, there's also that delicate element to it.
Yes, we get tired, we get frustrated, we feel overwhelmed. But I don't know whether it's just that actually we're not trained to say that. You know, I think there's also perceptions. Black women, you're strong, you're independent, you're powerful, and to say to someone, "I'm not handling this," I don't think. I think we're getting better at it. I think there's a push. I'm seeing that online, and that Black women's mental health, and it's actually okay to be like, I'm not having a great day today. And I think we need that. We need both sides of ourselves, you know. And because we are like that with our friends, your friends seeing that side.
Yes.
You know, so we are that. We are that. You know,
so
like
tell me, you were saying that your family kicked in. Did you ask for that help, or did it just happen?
No, it just happened. It just happened.
Nice.
And it's funny because I was talking to my mum about a different situation where this other family wasn't kind of around the mother, and she was like, I don't get it. And I said, maybe, I guess you just did it automatically, you didn't have to ask, you know. My friends and family, awesome, you know, just supportive, just so supportive. And my younger siblings as well, truly blessed, you know. And there was that decision. I had to make a decision. You know, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a partner who isn't really showing you that they're committed, or a support network with family and friends? And I had to choose family and friends, because you wasn't showing me the stability that I needed when bringing life into the world. And it's a tough thing. And I would never stop them from being part of my son's life. but that was the consistency I had to choose at that time. And yeah, and I don't regret it at all. I don't regret it at all.
There are going to be some people that are watching this and they are in their marriage or in their relationship and they're just like, I'm cool. The husband or the father does nothing, has no involvement, pays no effort, sort of pays no attention, makes no effort, but they find comfort in just knowing that the person is physically present, even though they are on the sofa, in front of the TV, in a newspaper, just present, but not actually a positive presence. How would you comment on
people in the situation? I think that actually hurts. I mean, to have someone present but just not there must be really hard. It ticks the boxes, you're in the home, but you would, if that person's going to be there, you want to be part of that child's life. And the thing is, as you get older and you learn things, that child, I know of people who have said, they've had fathers I've heard people say they've had dads who were there but just not in their life, and that
there but not there
just as much.
Absolutely.
And speaking to us adults now, they're not in a better situation. That hurts as well. So if you're a present, if you're a parent, you have to be present and active. You can't be, there's no part-time parenting. You're in it. You made a decision, you brought the life into the world. And you know what? I know lots of men argue, well, I didn't get a choice, she made a decision. You two made the baby, so you're going to have to take responsibility. And, it'd be ideal if you both agreed to it, but the life's here now, and that's a responsibility that you're going to have to take, because you both made this child.
Yeah.
You've got to be present. Just being there is not enough. That has an impact. I suppose to people, and that has an impact. A father or mother that's there but not active, that hurts as well, because you're still missing something. You're still craving attention. That will bring out. You'll be craving, and you will go and seek that somewhere else, and that's where you get people, looking for things in wrong places, because they're looking for what was given to them.
Yeah.
In their home.
So when we're looking at like I've been talking about, all the negativity, all the stigma, all the judgment, are there any positives to single parenting that we can share? Because I know I'm looking at the time and I know you've got to dash.
Yeah.
So
it's okay. He's all right. Gymnastics is sorted. That's fine.
I
can stay a little bit longer. Positives. I guess selfishly, you get all of your child, which sounds so selfish.
No.
You get all of your child's hugs, all your child kisses, all your child's love.
That's beautiful.
You get that time, like you become, because you're a unit, you really understand each other. Because that's it's just you two or you three or whatever your setup is. So you really understand each other. You get to see all of those moments. You don't miss out on anything because you're there for everything.
Oh,
and that is the great aspect of it. Yeah.
So I've read a little bit about sort of the concept of being the North Star, and that if you're, as a parent, you need to be the parent that is the North Star, so that your child is able to see you as the center of their world, and if everything happens, their first and foremost focus is a child falls down. With two parents, there's always that kind of juggle of whose name are they going to call? Like daddy, and you're like, what?
Just my name.
Who fed you this morning? Who gave you breakfast? And I can see that there would be a beauty in knowing that anything ever happens, the first thing they would do is to come to you. That's powerful. That's powerful, and that's quite fulfilling, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's lovely. And although it comes from a place which is quite sad in the sense that that's because they're missing a parent that's not there, but you just give so much love, and it's just we used to have something called Micah and Mummy Mondays. When I have to be part-time just for 1 year, and that would be our time. And even the other day, we haven't done it for a long while, and the other day we had like Micro Mummy Monday, and it's nice just to have that time. And he's getting older now, where he's doesn't need me as much. You know, he's more self-sufficient.
He's how old now? 12?
He's 12, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's already hit the kind of teenage period of that time. So there are times when he is, you know, doing his own thing. But again, it's now kind of come full circle where we were together all the time. You know, he dominated my TV. I had to watch what he had to watch. He literally just sat on top of my head.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting a bit of time to myself to do something. You're telling me. And now I'm getting time to do stuff to myself. So it's a bit hard. It's me getting used to it now. And there was times I'm like, oh, where are you?
I can imagine
he's doing his homework in his room.
Yeah.
But it's teaching me to now go and spend some time and do something you enjoy.
Right.
You know, do something you enjoy.
Yeah, because I home educate, and so I am with my children a lot of the time, and I do get little breaks. So I do have a very active husband.
Yeah.
However, you know, there is that feeling of, actually, you know, sometimes you just need a little space and little me time. And sometimes I find that I end up staying up half the night watching rubbish on TV, trying to reap that back, you know, kind of just like, I haven't done anything adult for the day. I've watched my share of Paw Patrol. I've done my trekking through the woods and splashing in muddy puddles, and, you know, drawing. This morning, I've had clay all over me, and it's all of that. You just think, okay, so how do you...
comment. We don't need those things.
I love them. I do love them. Thank you very much, my darling. Don't need any space.
Can I just say, I salute you. I mean, homeschooling over lockdown. I love my son to bits, but he's headstrong. Okay, so the only bit of work I could help him with in the end was he's, you know, when he first started to do, that's not the way my teacher does it. I know you're a teacher, but you're not my teacher. So I said to him, do you want me to homeschool you? Because he went through a phase, I don't like school anymore. Do you want me to homeschool? Yeah. Lockdown, he was like, no way.
Every changes.
I was like, I said I'd rather have 30 kids. I think it's like, no,
it's all right.
I don't know. It's just too personal. It's too personal.
It's close. It's tight.
Because, oh gosh, I was like, give me 30 kids that I'm not related.
I've heard it said.
But I love the concept of homeschooling. I love it. I love what you're doing. I just, you know,
thank you.
Maybe if we start from a younger age.
So how are you?
It might have worked.
Yes, I think if it just evolved more naturally. Oh, we've got a sound issue.
Yeah, sorry. I think it's one moment.
Let's see if we can repair that quickly. Oh, don't
there.
go.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yay.
Am I here?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Is it back?
Yes. Lovely.
Oh, brilliant. Not sure what happened there.
So, I was going down a road with that and I've forgotten what I was going to say. Right. So, yes. So you're like, in terms of reaping time for yourself and having that time for yourself, how do you juggle then that kind of all-encompassing relationship where he's been your world, you've been his world, you're his North Star, he looks to you for everything?
It's slowly changing. Like I said, 12 years old, it's slowly changing. And I think I had to accept that as well, that he's developing where he's talking to friends more now, and he might want to have a chat with a friend or play a game online with a friend, then sit down and like, we'll have our YouTubers we watch together. And we'll have certain things we'll watch together still. That's
tell me, who are your YouTubers that you watch?
I'm going to embarrass myself if I do.
No!
He got me into this really silly channel called Dope or Nope. Don't judge me, people. It's called Dope or Nope, where they literally review products and say whether it's dope or nope. It's just silly. It's silly. He got me into it, but I love it. And And it's like our time. We sit down and we watch YouTube together and we just laugh, or other channels like Hi Ho Kids, where they get the kids to try the different kind of foods. And we just sit down and we'll have a little laugh about it. And then,
It's
and then he'll
important.
he'll go and do his own thing. And it's teaching me to, like I said, have my time. And I guess people straight away was like, oh, well, now he's doing his own thing. You can go out there and get dating again. I was like, oh, yeah, I can.
So that sounds like, listening to you saying that sounds like quality time, like just sitting watching something that he likes. That sounds amazing.
That's how it all began. I used to see him watching something on YouTube and I'd be like, what on earth are you watching? And then it was this channel and I thought, this is ridiculous. But you know, you watch it like, oh yeah, let's see what you're watching. And then I realized I found it quite funny. So this was that became like our thing to watch it. Other people tried to watch it with us and was like, what on earth are you two watching? I was like, don't judge us. This is our time. This is our program. So yeah.
That's lovely. So do you think you've established as his love language? I don't know what you know about love languages.
Oh gosh. Oh, my son is he's definitely quality time and acts of service. He loves you. Do like, seriously, if he can get you to do anything for him, which is a bit like me too.
That's nice. That's nice.
You know, he I remember we done a quiz. Yeah, it was definitely quality time and acts of service, and it's true, that is him. You know, it's one of those things where he can have quality time by himself. The moment he sees me doing something, it's like, oh, I thought we were going to do something together. And I'm like, whoa. You've had the whole day doing your own thing, and now I'm about to do my thing. And it's like, okay. So, yeah. And, you know, he loves me, you know, cooking his favourite food, making something. I mean, what guy doesn't, isn't it? I mean, that's ingrained in from acts of service, cooking his favourite food. Or he comes and cooks with me as well, so that's fine. So he loves that.
Oh, yeah. So you've told us that you've moved out of London.
I have, yeah.
So, you know, there is always this pressure as parents. I don't think necessarily even just single parents that, you know, we're raising black boys. Do we want to raise our black boys in London, in the city, in the hustle and the bustle, you know, with everything that's going on with the gangs and
you know,
postcode wars?
We used to be down every weekend. My family are still in London and I love London. I haven't moved out and gone, oh, I'm out of London, you poor people with your pollution and I'm like, listen, my heart's still in London. I grew up in London. I was born and raised in London. My family's in London. And actually, when I first moved out, I was still teaching in London.
Okay.
And I moved to teach in a school in Kent because Micah had said, Mum, you're picking me up really late, and I was. But I cannot lie to you. I miss teaching. I miss teaching black children.
Oh, goodness.
I miss it. And my school's becoming a little bit more diverse, but I miss it. You know, I've now got a young black boy in my A-level English literature class who I absolutely...
Oh, that's my subject.
You know, yeah, I'm like, hi, and you know, he's like, oh, miss, I haven't bought the book yet, and I gave him a book because I've just got a soft spot for him. How can you not have a soft spot? I'm a mother of a black boy. Yeah. And I see, and this isn't me, and I've got a black girl in my class, and you know, I love them to bits. Just because they are black children in a white space, they need as much love and attention. You know? And I'm gonna do it, give it to them. And they are bright. So they're not getting any special treatment. They are brighter than some of the white children. So they are just a blessing. I think it's hard because I've had this discussion with a friend saying, what decision do you make? You know, I don't know, what is a more, I don't know, what's going to have the impact on them more emotionally and mentally? Is it going to be the minority race-wise? Or is it going to be, I remember someone saying to me, they get anxious every time their child gets on the school bus and goes to school. Do I raise him in a community? And I didn't, and it wasn't even that I left because it just happened to be that I could get a place that I could afford and live a life that I couldn't have in London because it was too expensive. That was it. That was my driving force. And when I have those moments when I really okay, one time, so it's actually one time we
No,
were
tell
driving
us.
back through London, and we got to Catford where we used to live, and my son, this is when I thought I made a bad decision. We were driving through Catford, and he put his hand on the window, looked on the glass, and went, black people, black people. At that point, my heart broke. I said, listen, do we need to move back to London? Because if we do, we can move back.
Oh.
You know, literally going, black people, black people.
That would have been me.
Oh, my heart. So,
That would have been me. My husband's moved out to Essex when he was very young. I grew up in Brent.
Yeah.
So I was just surrounded by black people for my whole childhood. And then when we had our children, we've moved out. We are literally on the edge of the M25.
Yeah.
However, it's a very white area. And then we went to Brixton to visit a friend. And as we're walking through Brixton, I was just like, oh, breadfruit,
yeah,
sugar cane.
Yeah.
And my daughter was just like, ew, it's so dirty. It's so dirty. And I'm just like, girl,
yeah.
up, man.
We
Are you joking? This is culture. This is culture. You're joking. She's just like, ew, why is it so dirty?
We had something similar once where, because I was like, Micah, you were born in this house, because I had a home, like, this is the house you were born, home birth, bricks, like this, it's in your blood, child. But the thing is, I think he's at that point now where he still, he loves it, you know. He came, there are black people in our area, because quite a few, the church that I attended, they've moved up here as well, so we've got, there was a black community.
Yeah.
He did notice when he started at school, I remember he was like, and this broke my heart, he said, oh mum, do you see that white child in the trolley? No one's telling that child off, but if I was stood up in that trolley, I'd get told off. So I said to him what was happening, and he noticed that teachers were speaking to him differently to him and some of the black boys. So I went to school and addressed that and said, look, I'm a teacher and I do know that some kids are annoying, hands up. And sometimes when you've got a child that behaves a particular way, you will go to them first because you expect it to be them. But if this child has picked up that you speak different to Micah than you do to Connor, then you need to think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And they took it on board, and he's fine. But I was, you know, I mean, 4 years ago, we've been here 4 years now, I was expecting to get a black beret on and a glove. He was pro-black. He was very much, very, you know, every picture had a Jamaican flag and I was like, okay. But now, full circle, you know, he's got a diverse group of friends.
Okay, lovely.
So he's adapted to it. And then I kind of remember getting in the car one day and saying to him, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Mike, I get it. When I moved to my school and experienced microaggression and racism, I was like, I'm so sorry, now I know what you're talking about. But then we've worked through it, and he does. Luckily, he has black friends. He has, his school has a mixed community, still predominantly white, and he balances both. And I think he's at that point where he can have the best of both worlds. He can go to the weekend and be with his uncles and his cousins and be in London and have fun, and then he can come back and go for a walk in the forest.
That's brilliant.
So he even said, like, when we went to school, I went to the beach, I'd love to do that after school. And he said, oh, this is great, we've got beaches like 20 minutes away from my house, Mum, we couldn't do this if we were in London. So I think he knows,
to see the benefit,
that there are things that we can do here that we can't do in London, and vice versa. And it's a balancing act, and I will never know till he's older which one, you know, the impact of being a minority compared to possibly being, you know, going to school and having to watch your back in a post. I don't know which one's more healthy or more detrimental, but
do you feel in that you need to be intentional about surrounding him with black positive role models? Then do you go out of your way to ensure that he has that that black excellent community sort of to
really,
you know, to cover him?
Family, friends, make sure that we can watch something anything that's on, you know, TV. He went through, you know, like, even just I remember him going through a phase when we first moved up here where even if it's something like he wants to watch Blackish back to back, or only wants to watch comedies or sitcoms that had black families in, and I think he became really aware of his blackness at a young age. But on the other hand, I know he's popular at school and really likable. So for this moment in time, I think his blackness is a bonus now. I said to my friend, when he gets taller and hairier, it'd be interesting to see how they react to him.
And broader. It's
yes.
the tallness
Once
and the
he
ball
starts
and then the
filling
voice.
out, becoming, it'd be interesting to see how they respond to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to work. And there are things that I love about it. And, you know, we have some shops that sell Caribbean food now. And I don't know, but when you do see a black person in your area, you're like, hi. Especially a lady that I met in lockdown. We've never spoken to each other.
Come talk to me.
She goes for walks. You think we're like when you see another black person, you know, okay, we don't have the nod. I know the men have the nod. As a woman, you smile, and I think in that you see another black person in an area, you know, you're really warm and supportive to them because you know that you're one of the minority. So
yeah, that's lovely. I know it's important. Do you think though that because you're obviously it's a male female relationship, that if you had a girl, that I mean I don't know that it might be different, that you know you would have there might be less pressure, or maybe the pressure would be different. I mean, I've got one of each. I've got two of one and one of the other. So, but I've got both. So, I wonder, I'm the daughter of a single parent. I'm the daughter of a single mother, you know, a mother. So that I had that woman to woman relationship growing up.
Yeah. And I had that with my mother as well. Really close.
So how do you think? Yeah, it changes. It's different. And I wonder, being a single mum, then raising a boy, how does that? What's that like? And how is, you know, what advice would you have for a woman that's then trying to raise a man, not being a man yourself?
Yeah, I remember someone had recommended this book to me called Raising Boys. And I loaned it to someone. It was a really interesting book because it talked about the fact that actually when they're really young, they are all for their mums. They get to an age, which is probably where he's at now, a little bit younger.
Lost sound again.
No, and they start having they want to get to a phase where they play fight and they want to do rough and tumble. And these things that they probably might at a certain age want to do their father, and the needs they need. And that book was very much like it had a chapter where you are a single mum, and there are elements this is where a man would step in, and this is when you need to seek your community around you. Like he's going through puberty, he's going through hormonal changes, there are things that's going on I have no concept for. And I'm like, Dad, do you want to talk to him? And also I learn about things, but he might want to talk about it with me anyway. I might broach, he doesn't talk about it, I don't push it. And I think I just want to instill respect. And I'm being very conscious to not be a man basher, because I can't raise this. How can you raise a son and be anti-men? You can't. It's a contradiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need him to understand that just because I'm not with his father doesn't mean I have a negative view of men. And I don't think less of men. Because you are raising a man. And I'm his input. You know, I might make jokes and say, "Oh, I need you to do that because you do. Could you do that for me? Because you're taller, or can you reach that? Oh, you're stronger." And I let him know that I value his strength and that he's becoming a young man. But and I've been very conscious about that. You know, he will only hear, you know, he can't be mum loves me, but she says bad things about men, especially black men. You know,
I was gonna say
there are things that any person, black women or men, can work on. But he needs to know that I've got his back as a young black boy, and for black men, I will support you, and a supporter and a wave of flag. If you're in the wrong, I'm going to tell you and pull you up on it. But I'm a supporter, and I have to be. I've got a black father, I've got black brothers, I've got a black son. You know, one relationship that doesn't work with one guy is not going to make me turn against black men. You know,
does it make you then think that if you were to bring someone into the house, that it would need to be a black man?
Do you know what? Before I was like, you know what, you're a Christian, you know, whoever God's bringing into your life, doesn't matter their you know, their race. But then as my son's gotten older, I'm quite conscious. My reasoning for I would date out of my race, but I wouldn't. I'm really conscious that if I was to marry someone who wasn't black, is that going to send a message to my son that a black guy couldn't be the father that he needs to be?
Yeah.
And that would be my reason why I would want to marry a black man, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't want him to think, oh, it didn't work with my dad, so mum had to go with, you know.
And
I
that
don't
black
want him
men
to,
aren't, the black men aren't
yeah, I
enough.
don't want him to have that perception. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know.
Right. We are literally in the last minute. I know. I told you it was going to go. The time was just going to go. So in the last minute, I want you to just tell us what is the plans? Where are you going with this page? Tell us how we can support you. What can we do? Just sell it for us.
Yeah. So essentially, Father to the Fatherless _
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've got the page, which I upload encouraging Bible verses that help me, quotes about single parenting. At the moment, I'm doing a weekly Black History Month post where I look at characters in the Bible, which I hate saying they're characters because they're fictional, but people in the Bible, Black women in the Bible.
Yeah, historically, yeah.
That's
yeah.
our Black women. And
yeah.
So tomorrow, I've had 2 so far, to check them out. And
Okay.
you'll notice them, they're lovely Black posts on my page. So that's really important to me.
I
have been having
a look.
Yeah. And then, like I said, I've got my podcast. So I release a podcast every first Monday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got my website, which has my podcast, my blogs.
Mm-hmm.
And you can contact me there. So if you want to, like I said, I would love to hear and have contributions from. You do not have to be a single parent. If you're someone that is, like I said, is to do with well-being, or you think you can provide a need or some advice for single parents, can come on the podcast. I would love it. I would love it so much. Yeah, so December, I believe it's the 4th to the 6th. It's a 3-day conference. A single mom in America organised it, and I'm on a panel, and I will also be speaking, so I'm really excited about that. I believe it's called Single Mothers of Faith. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
That's great.
So we can check if we Google that, we can find out a bit more about it.
Yeah, what I'll do, I'll send you the link to it. Yeah. So
excellent.
That's great. Yes, that's what I'm working on, really. And my dream is to kind of get together a devotional for single parents, just to kind of bring it back to God, really, just how God's really helped me in my life. And if he's done it in mine, he can do it in anybody else's. So that's really great as well.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. It's just we are so blessed to have stumbled across your Insta. We we were looking at family this week. We have covered elements of Black love and Black families, and it has been such a privilege to talk to you, to get this aspect, this viewpoint, and to see the positive, because we love to celebrate all elements of family. I know that I can give you a quick experience because we got time now. And I remember in our church, they were dealing with the family, and there was a series where every Sabbath, because we go to church on Saturdays, and every Sabbath, what would happen is they would bring a family to the front of the church, and it would be 2 parents and the children, and they'd be in their suits and their ties and their frilly dresses, and they'd be at the front, and every week it was a different family, and it was beautiful. And then when the 2 parent families ran out, the series seemed to just die and dwindle off. And I remember just thinking, well, we were waiting for our turn. I guess it wasn't to be. It hurt me. And I just love that your platform is out there, just being the buffer for those families that end up feeling that way. You know, just feeling just a bit abandoned and a bit left by the wayside.
And I think it can feel like that. And I think I do understand the church in a difficult position about, so what do we do? Because I think they're worried that if they lift up and support these families, they are saying it's okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they're like, well, so then let's not support it. But the families are here.
They're here.
They are here.
And they're beautiful.
And I think, and if you do it from that point of view, that God said that we need to be a father to the fatherless, we are not encouraging for people to have families out of wedlock, but once the family is here, we are supporting and we are nurturing. And I think it's okay to phrase it that way.
Yeah.
Say it like that. You know, we are going to show love. We're going to support them. Because
and celebrate just the difference in each family. Every family has something to offer. And that's what we just love about your platform. Oh, look, that's it. She 81 has just said all families are God's, and that is it. That is exactly it. Every family deserves celebrating. So we want to thank you for coming. Thank you for saying yes.
Oh, can I just say, I just love what you're doing. Like, it's just, I think it's amazing that, again, it's just showing Christ in a whole different way. You know, you haven't shied away from being Black and Christian. I love it. I love this whole week that you have said we're going to embrace, like, the 21 questions were so funny. Black love. Like, it's okay to say, I'm Black, I'm Christian, I love God, I love each other. I just think what you've done on this platform is just amazing. And I think the perception is, you know, there's this perception of Christians being really serious and judgmental and not showing love, and the foundation, that's what we were told to do, love each other. You know,
absolutely.
Love ourselves, love our skins, love each other. And I just love the fact that you are encouraging and promoting positivity.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying so. We definitely appreciate, should get that right. I'm going to start that again. We definitely appreciate all the comments, everyone who's logged in, everyone who's taken time to ask questions or to make comments or to just be present with us. We really, really thank you. This is the end of our Black Love Week. Next week, we are looking at entrepreneurship. We are looking at Black finance, Black money. I just love it. I just love the fact that you are just, you know, it's Black History Month. You have embraced that actually all of these qualities are there inside the church, outside the it excites me. Yeah, totally. I tell you something. I saw a T-shirt, and it said it says we are the ancestors of the future. You know, people are they're gonna look back, and then, you know, we talk about ancestors and how ancestors have paved the way for us, but in the future, we will be those ancestors. We will be the ones that have been spoken about as to what did you do? What impact did you leave? What legacy have you left that, you know, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, or even if it's not children that we have birthed ourselves, but the future is going to be looking back and saying, what did my ancestors do for me? That is us.
That is big. When you think about that, is big. I'm going to be someone's ancestor. That is crazy.
Isn't it? And then they'll be able to log in on some kind of ancient system and then just be, look what Ramona was doing. No.
There we go. Yeah.
Templeway was up to something. That's what they'll be able to say.
There seems to be a big shift and a big change. Just like, you know, your homeschooling. I think we are seeing opportunities within the Black community where we're saying, right, I'm going to do it. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. I'm going to do what's best for my family. I'm going to do
Yeah.
what's best. And
Yeah.
it's just, it feels great to be part of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. You are a part of it. You have been a key part of it. You have ended our Black Love and Family Week. Thank you.
That is an absolute blessing to do that. And thank you. And thank you for including a single parent in your Black Love and Black
We
Family.
had to.
That just says so much. It makes single parents out there feel valued and heard and loved. So that says a lot. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. I'm so glad we could do this. And if anybody isn't following us, click follow, like, look at our stuff, look at what we're doing. Join us next week for our Black Future Month. Our last week is the last week. It's also going to be half-term week, so get the kids to join in. We're going to be looking at money, and it's the conversation that our parents didn't talk about, and we want to talk about it, and we want our kids to hear about it. So log them in. I know they're all online.
Yeah, I'll be logging in
with their own accounts. Log them in, put them to sit down next to you. It's half-term week. They don't have to go to bed early. Just let them soak in some knowledge on Black entrepreneurship. It's out there. We are doing big things. Yeah, I'm going to celebrate that. Monday to Friday next week. Thank you for joining us. Charlene, it's been a pleasure. Mwah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Templeway.
Have a good evening.
It's been great. Have a great evening. Take care. God bless.
Good night, everybody. Good night. God bless.